I'm William. I'm an archivist and video game nerd, and today I want to talk to you about a game series from the 80s called SwordQuest. I must admit, it's a little hard to know where to begin on SwordQuest, because it's such a unique story within the history of gaming that it's difficult to know how to properly set the stage. SwordQuest, to borrow a modern term, was Major League Gaming decades before the concept would truly come into its own. Made for the Atari 2600, SwordQuest was set to be a series of 4 games that could have only been born in the era of early gaming. These games were beyond cryptic, and to make any sense of them, you would need the game's physical instruction booklet. I'm going to date myself a little bit here, but for those younger viewers in the audience, an instruction book was something that used to come standard issue with nearly every game produced for commercial sale. Serving as a midpoint between a tutorial and a strategy guide, these books tended to blend mechanics with fun set dressing for the game you're about to enjoy. Some would serve more as supplemental information, things that were fun to know but by no means required, but in other cases like SwordQuest, you needed them to make any sense of the game, and this was by design. In the case of SwordQuest, not only were instruction booklets produced, but also lore-filled comics. From the start, these convoluted games were designed as a contest. The point of the games was to move around a series of rooms, completing minigames to reveal hidden screens with objects to move around. Moving the items into the correct positions would reveal a numerical clue. This clue, when used in conjunction with the comic to reveal a particular page and panel, would reveal a hidden word designed into the art of the panel. When all clues were found, you would have 10 words. However, you'd only need 5 of them to make a sentence. Looking elsewhere through the comic would reveal another clue on how to determine which words were needed to make a passphrase and which were duds. If you had done all this, and then correctly determined the passphrase and sent it to Atari, you would be brought to their headquarters for the live competition round and your chance to win the prize. What was that prize? This depended on which of the 4 games you were playing. For Earthworld, the first game in the series, you would receive a golden jewel-encrusted amulet with an embossed sword and interlaid with the 12 birthstones. This amulet was then valued at $25,000. Now, in today's valuation, would be about $76,000. The second game, Fireworld, would see the winner walk away with a platinum and gold chalice, valued equally at $25,000. Game 3, Waterworld, would award a golden jeweled crown worth the same amount. This would also apply to the winner of Game 4, Airworld, who would receive a gold and jade Philosopher's Stone. After all 4 winners were awarded, they would be brought back to Atari for a final round to square off for the grand prize, a gold and jewel-encrusted sword worth $50,000, or in today's valuation, $153,000. Meaning that, at the time, the grand prize winner of SwordQuest would walk away with $75,000 worth of gold and jewels. But sadly, that never happened. Only 2 of the 4 contests would be held, and only 2 of the 4 prizes given out. What happened? The infamous video game crash of the early 80s. A market crash so devastating it nearly destroyed the video game industry in the West, and put many larger names at the time, Atari included, out of business. So bad was this crash that only the first 3 games in the series, Earth, Fire, and Waterworld, made it to a public release. Waterworld would see its release be very limited compared to the first 2 games, making the cartridge itself a rare prize in its own right in the hands of a collector. As for Airworld, while there was shaky evidence that a prototype build was in the works, no such confirmation can be reasonably made, and the game never made it to shelves. Which brings us to the question of the prizes. What in the world happened to the crown, Philosopher's Stone, and sword, as well as the enduring fate of the talisman and chalice? Unfortunately, these answers themselves are unclear and murky at best. Some sources suggest that the man who bought out Atari, Jack Tramiel, took the remaining prizes for himself. While no one has conclusively confirmed this, there are those who say, to this day, the sword sits at home on his mantle. Whether or not the crown and stone reside within his house as well hasn't even been rumored, much less confirmed. Other accounts suggest that, in a bid to inject some cash liquidity back into Atari, the remaining 3 prizes were melted down for face value. Similarly, there are accounts that the winner of the talisman partially melted it down, taking the base for face value, but leaving the sword and gemstones untouched. The current whereabouts of those remaining pieces are unknown. I won't lie. The idea that these relics of gaming history, both in terms of the innovation of the contest, the blowback of the crash, and the urban legend of their location are gone and lost to time, is heartbreaking to me. I, of course, don't blame any of the owners if indeed they liquidated their prizes. They were making the best financial decisions for themselves at the time, But I do wish there had been another way if that's indeed what happened. There is a spot of bright light in all of this, however, in that the winner of the chalice, Michael Rideout, kept it stored in a safety deposit box. And Michael, on the off chance you're watching this, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I know the chalice likely has great sentimental value to you, but know that to us, as a community of gamers, it means the world to us that the chalice is still safe and verifiable. So this year, 2022, is a special year. It's the 40th anniversary of SwordQuest and the 50th of Atari overall. And back in late June, Atari hit us with a curveball. With a planned release date of winter 2022, we're going to finally get Airworld, the final game in the SwordQuest series. It begs the question, though, what direction will AirQuest take? It's going to be released on modern consoles, and most likely in a digital download format in addition to physical, if it will be physical at all. Will there be a contest to Airworld? A prize? Or will it just be a cryptic game built to see this saga to its completion, but not with the ending people expected all those years ago in 1982? As of yet, we don't seem to have these answers, or even a concrete release date. What I do hope for, more than a prize, more than a contest, is answers. I want to know conclusively what happened to the crown, Philosopher's Stone, and sword. If they're still around, I implore you, Atari, act now. Take the time to get them to a proper repository, one where people in the years to come can learn about SwordQuest and the 40-year story of gaming's lost competition. If they're gone, Michael, I don't mean to sound grim here, buddy, but someday, consider giving the chalice to an institution that can see it live on where we can't. I know it must mean so much to you, but it can mean so much to so many generations of gamers yet to come. Okay, climbing off my soapbox now. I think SwordQuest is perhaps one of the most historically important lost games we've had in the history of gaming. It's influenced so much of the gaming landscape in ways we haven't even realized, from showing how innovative developers could be even with the most limited of hardware, to defining what it means to hold a gaming competition. It may be too late to see the series reach its intended conclusion, but it's not too late to keep the story from fading into obscurity. I'd encourage you to pick up SwordQuest Airworld if and when it releases. Show Atari you know, you remember, and that you care about your gaming history. Thanks for watching this video on SwordQuest. I'm going to link the Angry Video Game Nerds video on it, now itself 11 years old, because he served as a real inspiration to me on this one, and I think he does a fantastic job of helping viewers enter the mindset of someone playing SwordQuest during the competition. If you liked this video, consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. I hope you have a nice day.